unexpurgated ceremonial welcome accorded to our chief guest here present today and other officers of CMA Sri Lanka and dignitaries invited for this special occasion. And of course, we launch forth into another customary practice, that of lighting a ceremonial oil lamp, for which we would like to invite Professor Ho Yuki, our chief guest and indeed our keynote speaker, in the company of Professor Lakshman R. Watavala, the President, Mr. H.M. Hennayaka Bandara, Vice President and CEO, Mr. Kosala Disanayaka. We also invite Dr. Nuwan Gunaratna, Professor Dileepa Samudrage, and Mr. Upeka Atulpola to also be there. A guest in the CAO, Institute of Chartered Accountants, President, Mr. Sanjay Bandara, and council members, Ruchira Pereira, Manil Jayasinghe, Mr. P. Gajendran, JMUB Jayasekara, and JPR Karunaratna. And we also include Professor Kennedy Gunawardena. Lighting of the lamp, please. The lamp thus illumined will invite those who were involved to move to their positions. However, we shall proceed now with two anthems. One, the national anthem, that of Sri Lanka, and there is also the anthem of CMA, which we refer to sometimes as the CMA song. Both will be heard now, one after the other.
CMA, the best in Sri Lanka, adopting international standards with technological advancement, management excellence on the path to victory.
තිරසර වටිනාකම් දීපනය කරමින් තිරසර වටිනාකම් දීපනය කරමින් ශක්තියෙන් ගුණෙන් අගනා
ප්‍රගතිමලයෙහි කරනා විශ්වයට ඔබින දිනුරයට වටින
පුරවැසියන් බිහි කරනා කලමනා කරන කනකාධිකාරි විශ්වනිකේතනයයි කලමනා කරන කනකාධිකාරි විශ්වනිකේතනයයි CMA.
So we shall like to invite everyone to be comfortably seated. Do have your mobile devices switched on, but rendered silent. There's a specific reason I have mentioned that you need to keep it switched on, but obviously rendered silent so that it will not intrude on the comfort of others on this very special occasion. Now, we perhaps need to underscore the fact that this is a once in a while event. It's not an annual thing. It comes around though, and this is one of those special days when it does come around. As is indicated on the screen, it's a launch of something new, something fresh, and something which should have and ultimately will have resonance outside the confines of this auditorium. I didn't want to use the word tent, but that's what it in reality is. But this marquee, something outside of this marquee also will be influenced on account of what is being done here today. So it's an important one. How important? Well, we invite your attention on screen. The Institute of Certified Management Accountants of Sri Lanka, CMA, began as the Society of Management Accountants. That was in 1999, being set up with the technical assistance of CMA Canada, now CPA Canada, by its founder Professor Lakshman R. Vatavala. The society was launched on the 3rd of June 2000. Thereafter, traversing a long journey with skill, endurance and perseverance, the bill for incorporation was tabled in Parliament on the 18th of March 2009, debated, approved and certified on 20th April 2009 as the Institute of Certified Management Accountants of Sri Lanka, Act number 23 of 2009, with government recognition as the National Professional Management Accounting Institution in Sri Lanka. It is a testament to its reputation that CMA Sri Lanka is recognized by a wide range of local and international professional accounting bodies, universities, other educational institutions, as well as corporates. It is a member of the International Federation of Accountants, IFAC, the global body for the accounting profession, South Asian Federation of Accountants, or SAFA, the South Asian Regional Accounting Body, and the Confederation of Asian and Pacific Accountants, or CAPA, the regional accounting body for the Asian and Pacific region. The 22 years journey of CMA has marked important milestones that have resonance in the accounting profession. The CMA Sri Lanka History Book, In the Interest of the Nation, 1999 to 2022, was launched in October 2022. CMA has striven to be the leading professional management accounting body with a firm focus on the future and a grasp of what it takes to remain progressive. The CMA Professional Program is revised every 5 years in accordance with International Education Standards, or IES, prescribed by the International Accounting Education Standards Board of IFAC. This makes it possible to keep abreast of the latest developments in accounting and other allied disciplines more frequently. As CMA Sri Lanka keeps pace with the latest technology, which facilitates cutting-edge educational opportunities, it has successfully digitized learning methods, providing e-learning, and is the first to start computer-based testing with Pearson VUE of the USA. Today, students are enabled to follow the CMA professional program online at any time, any place, at their own pace, using flexible learning options and supported by computer-based examinations accessible from any part of the world to produce competent management accountants. The Institute of Certified Management Accountants, Sri Lanka, is engaged in producing management accounting professionals, possessing an all-embracing knowledge to serve all sectors of the economy with a local, global outlook. So that's quite a story, and the rationale for the event here today, I think, has already been underscored. Now, to accord words of welcome and initiate the formal part of this special program is the incumbent and indeed the founder president of CMA Sri Lanka, Professor Lakshman R. Vatawala, who of course is no stranger. He's a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka. He's a fellow member of the Institute of Certified Management Accountants of Sri Lanka, a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants of the UK, Chartered Global Management Accountant, or CGMA, and fellow of the Institute of Chartered Professional Managers of Sri Lanka. But that's not how he started. He started 50 years ago, and so we might refer to this event also as a celebratory event. It is a golden jubilee of his entering into this profession. And records have it that he started as an articled clerk at Turkin Young Chartered Accountants, now known by a different name, Ernst & Young, and then qualified as a chartered accountant in the year 1972. And of course, he did secure all of those other qualifications that I mentioned at the beginning. But what is also important is that he was a necessary achiever in different spheres and was eager to be able to take the name of Sri Lanka and the profession also forward to other realms or standards of stature. So one of the perhaps interesting and important things was the instrumentality that he had with the formation of the South Asian Federation of Accountants, or SAFA, at a time when he was the president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka. So while holding that office, he was a signatory and initiated the process of forming that South Asian Federation, and then was elected in 1982 as the second president of that organization, namely SAFA. And he was installed within the Hall of Fame of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka in recognition of at least some of those achievements, and was awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award by CMA Sri Lanka as well. Now, also with regard to recognizing all of the service that was provided over a long period of time, over these 5 decades, shall we say, or parts thereof, he was also bestowed with a titular national honor, Sri Lanka Sikamani, conferred by the President of Sri Lanka. That was in 2019. And I think people remember a time previous to that too, when Professor Vatawala served as Chairman and Director General of the Board of Investment of Sri Lanka. And during his tenure there, he was part of that very exciting program that was begun at that time, known as the 200 Garment Factories program, which and then made it possible for Sri Lanka to aspire to doing better with regard to securing much needed foreign exchange. That was always and has been a shortage of that. But that particular institution of the 200 garment factories program was one key thing that helped to leverage towards securing that foreign exchange. And also, apart from everything else, one of the important things that might be mentioned here and with relevance is the turning around of a loss-making state institution to become a profit-making, viable institution. And that was when he was chairman and managing director of the State Mining and Mineral Development Corporation. So the essence of proper management, I think, has been understood and underscored with what I just mentioned. And there are other achievements as well. He has served as the president of the Association of Management Development Institutes in South Asia, which is AMDISA. Currently board member of SAFA and chairman of the International Relations Committee therein. And what is interesting also is that he has served in the private sector and also committed time and energy in public service. I'll say no more, but invite Professor Lakshman R. Vatola to the lectern now to deliver some necessary words of welcome and perhaps expand on the relevance of today.
Good evening to all of you. In fact, we were very worried at the beginning because of what was happening today, but I'm sure that all of you who are really live wires and those who are engaged with the accounting profession and supporting CMA, I must first of all thank all of you for your kind presence, because it was really something that people thought that it will not happen, but you really made it happen. So thank you very much to all of you who are present today. Today we have our chief guest. I'm sure he is known to all of you, Professor Ho Yu Ki. I think he's been with us, I'm sure, for more than a decade, engaged with CMA Sri Lanka, and he is the Professor of Accounting and Associate Provost, Skills, Future and Staff Development of the Singapore Institute of Technology, and the former Professor of Accounting of the National University of Singapore, and is also the Chairman of the CMA Sri Lanka Academic Advisory Board, and also serves on our Advisory Council. So I think it's a very fitting occasion that we had Professor Ho Yu Ki with us. I know that it's been a very hard, he just come back from some important meetings from Australia, but he's here with us. So thank you, Professor Ho. I think you are really one of the people who have given a lot of inspiration to us, contributed much to the development of CMA, and your presence here is something that we really appreciate. Not only me, but I think everyone who is present here. Then we have our Vice President, Mr. Hennayaka Bandara, who really took the name of CMA to the South Asian region. Of course, we've been involved with them, but he was the immediate past president of the South Asian Federation of Accountants, which not only gave the recognition and the honor to CMA Sri Lanka, and he really played a vital role in working with the South Asian accountants who are here. So thank you very much, Mr. Hennayaka. Of course, you always been there with us and supporting all our activities, and we are very happy that you are here today. Then we also have our council members. I must thank all of them for the great support they have given, because whatever that you see here is also the support and the cooperation that they have given us. Of course, I must make special mention of the President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka, Mr. Sanjay Bandara. I think the institute is a place that we really had our foundation, and that made us expand the accounting profession, because it was during my time as President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka. Of course, mention was made of SAFA, but in the Sri Lanka arena, where we set up the Association of Accounting Technicians, or AAT Sri Lanka. I think that's something which was new, and I must tell you that at that time, the ADB was prepared to give us a loan of US dollars 800 million. But I must tell you, we started it without a cent, because the Chartered Institute, although I had the members appointed to it and the council, they did not give me money, they did not give me office space, they did not give me any staff. But the training that I had as the president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants for 4 years gave me the determination, the strength to start this body, because I knew that we were going on a course that will really help the younger generation in this country, and also to bring the rural children into the chartered accounting field. So we were able to, my good friend, Mr. Manoharan, he told me, don't worry, I will give you a small room, and I don't know whether people in the OPA know this. At that time we had what was called we formed the OPA International company, and that company I was also a director. Mr. Manoharan gave me a small room. So I think OPA, I don't know whether the president is here, but I know that the other members are here, and they were really instrumental in giving us that room to form this body. So these are things that are not there in the history, but I thought that I should tell, because we need to, I'm sure Mr. Sanjay Bandara will take the opportunity to write the history as to how this came into being. So that's a good thing. Then of course thereafter, I was instrumental in setting up of CMA Sri Lanka. As you know, Chartered did not want to get involved in it. So I, as a chartered accountant, all the initial council members are all chartered accountants. So Mr. Sanjay, you must be proud that all chartered accountants gathered together to form the management accounting body, which was not there in Sri Lanka. At that time, we could not depend on the foreign bodies. As we just celebrated 75 years of independence, I think this is the biggest achievement I can think that we have made after independence, to form a body which is now locally and globally recognized member of IFAC. So in fact the AAT is also a member of IFAC, so you can be proud that we have 3 accounting bodies that are today members of the International Federation of Accountants, a global body. Then we have also our distinguished invitees, and of course special mention of our consultants team led by Dr. Nuan, and team who are really responsible for this evening, that what we are doing today, the launching of the CMA Sri Lanka new syllabus. So ladies and gentlemen, members and other supporters of CMA, let me welcome you to this event. So as you know that this is the launch of CMA Sri Lanka new syllabus. I must also say that the last, maybe the launch that was in 5 years back, 2018 I suppose, now it's 2023, and there too we had the great honor of Professor Ho who was the one who really was the chief guest and the keynote speaker. So he is someone who's involved in the education area, and I think the most fit person to come and guide us, and also being a part of our own institute, we are indeed thankful to him. So as you know, everyone is talking of future-ready accounting profession. That's what we are looking at. And I know that IFAC has been doing quite a lot of work on this. The other institutes have been doing. So everyone is wanting to prepare accountants for the future. And this would mean that we need to equip current and future professional accountants with skills, capabilities, ethical behavior required for an evolving business environment. Some of them think that only the competency is required. No, I think today ethical behavior is of great importance. Today, everywhere we hear of corruption, mismanagement. We need to get rid of it, and I'm sure the management accountants, the future management accountants, will be able to show the way as to how we can take it forward. The accountancy profession needs to show the younger generation that accounting is an exciting and dynamic opportunity. Today we find that very many of them are going to different areas. Sometimes they think that the accounting profession is too difficult or too hard, because we are not only concerned with the education area, but also the skill development, where they need to get the practical experience. If not for that, today we will not be able to make all these achievements. So that's something that everyone should bear in mind, because those who are trained in the accounting profession are job ready. They will get an employment, not only in Sri Lanka, but also overseas. But people think that if you want to do something, you have to work hard, and that's how we have achieved all these things. A dual focus on technology and people development. Now that's today the future accountant, the technology and people development will make finance roles richer and more rewarding. As I mentioned, the competency is very important. The other one is, of course, a focus on quality teaching, because I know that we have invited many of our teaching institutions, and as professional bodies, we are a little different from the universities where they do their own teaching. We have the private educational institutions that are doing the teaching, and the quality teaching is very important, especially in the core areas and also on the technology areas. So we may need to look at, because today we see why students are attracted to go into the university. It may be that due to the teaching that is being done there, the fantastic buildings that they are having, the various provisions that they give. So we may need to look at that in order that we will be able to attract the younger generation into the professional sector. So we have to deliver training and support in wider skill sets, particularly mid-career accountants. This may involve building effective partnerships with other providers who can deliver impactful training opportunities. So this is something that we need to take into account, because today the launch of the new syllabus really requires the dedication and commitment of our educational institutions, because you are the people who will really be able to make it successful. I must also want to tell you a little about at the time that we were incorporated, there was a debate in Parliament, and I went through this and I found that the then Minister of Higher Education, the late Professor Vishwavarnapal. I think he made a very valuable contribution, but I do not think very many have taken any much notice of it. So I thought that it would be appropriate time to look at what he has said, because it is really very meaningful, especially at this time. So he has said whatever institution we establish should not be treated as a second-rate institution. It has to be on par with universities of the country. Universities alone cannot solve the problem. Now this is something that a lot of the people forget. Universities alone cannot solve the problem. And of course, today we have so many private educational institutions doing foreign degrees, which we can solve if we look at what he says. The expansion of non-university tertiary institutions can tackle the problem of this, what we are facing, of access to responsible to the demands of the labor market. Tertiary education has therefore become an important agent of social change and an instrument for the realization of the aspirations of a society. Non-university tertiary institutions constitute an alternative sector, an alternative to the conventional university. So I think we also need to look at this very carefully. So because we are non-university tertiary institutions which are giving a qualification similar to universities. This is not, I don't think even the universities would like to state this, but this is something that was stated by the then minister. And so he said that today, that at that time that they had 131,000 qualified to enter the university, but the university could give only 20,000. That was in 2009. Today I think we have very many more than that. I think universities have increased to 40,000. But the others, if one has to do, it will have to look at to these non-university tertiary educational institutions. So what he said is, in order to expand, we need more and more non-university tertiary institutions specializing in employment-oriented projects. I think the president of the OPA and the others are, the other members of the council are present here. They should take note of this, because this is a very serious matter. They have many who are members, the non-university tertiary institutions. So why not we look at this and see as to how we can serve the youth of this country by giving education which will bring them not only the professional education, professional skills, but also employment which will really take them to the correct area. So this is something that is of great importance that we could look at. So I must also especially thank our consultants team led by Dr. Nuan, because they've been working very hard. And I know that I don't have to speak too much on that because they are going to speak on it, but they are really going to take us to the new age. Dr. Nuan Gunratna, Professor Dilipa, who have been playing a very lead role in this, they are going to take us to the next stage. They are going to put us ahead or in par with any other professional body that is there. So that's what is required. And I must thank them. I must also thank the our academic council. Now this academic council is headed by Professor Ho Yu-ki, who is present here, and also many of our academic council members who are both local and foreign, many with very special experience and exposure, who have helped us a great deal. So I think that's something that has helped us. Their comments to the consultants have enabled us to add and make it much more stronger. So we are very thankful. We had many meetings with the academic committee, so I must thank Professor Ho for the clear role that he has played in taking this academic council. So these are some of the important things, but you also know that our own staff have to play a major role. Before our own staff, our council, the guidance and the approvals that they have given has enabled us to take this forward. On the staff area, management area, I must say that we had maybe a major problem where our director education left us at a very crucial time when we were doing, but of course I know that our consultants were there, that there would have been no problem, but we had to take it over from our side and handle, and I must especially thank Ms. Madhumi, who was the director examinations, who was able to support and get all these things done, and I'm very thankful to her for doing that, of course supported by our education division. There are two where we had new staff who came in, Ms. Kanchana, but we had to have someone who knew the system and helped us to do this. So I think she worked closely with our consultants, and that's how we were able to do this. I must also, I think you already saw that we are now in the new age doing the online education, but today we may also have to go into the hybrid where we can combine it and do it. But during the COVID-19 pandemic, I must tell you, our education examinations were conducted uninterrupted. You might wonder how we achieved it, because a lot of them said this is the end of the education field. But we changed ourselves. We went digital. The examinations, the education, everything was done digital. We fortunately had worked with Pearson VUE. We were the first to go into the digital examination side, the computer-based testing, and this greatly helped us with the COVID-19 pandemic to change and provide the opportunity to the students. So the students were able to continue their education uninterrupted, and this was a great achievement that we have done, and I'm sure that this is the way that Sri Lanka will have to go forward. I know that we are in a very difficult situation, but the professional accountants can play a lead role. Today there was a discussion that was really where we had to go and make some representations on the power sector. If you look at what has happened, it's all financial matters that have happened. The real proper costing has to be done. Cost records has to be done. And I think even a cost audit needs to be done if they want to really see that there is efficiency and effectiveness in their generation and to stop the wastages and others. Then on the financial area, no money. They are really in debt. So how they can overcome this? Are they, if they are producing something and unable to do it, they are selling at a lower price. So that's why professionally I think we need to get involved. Now we have found that politics cannot take this country forward. We have to come forward. We have to have the proper systems, the proper procedures. The professionals are the people who can do this. So we have to, of course, work ethically. We have to make our contribution, and I'm sure that if we do that, we will be able to take the country forward. So if you are going to do that, then we need to change the education system. As you know, this is the 5th time that CMA Sri Lanka has changed, revised its syllabus. So this shows the modern way that we are working. Every 5 years that we are changing. Last year we did it even before the 5th year. We found that digitalization is very essential. So we did a revision in between. So that's how we are working as professional bodies. This is not only for our own body, I'm sure the chartered accountants and other professional bodies globally are doing that. That's how we are providing our services to the youth of this country. So this country can go forward only if they digitalize. We have to now go to the new age. If we go the traditional way, we will never succeed. So we are showing them the way. This new syllabus that we are launching We want to show them the way how this country can be taken forward, how the other educational institutions should maybe bring their syllabuses in line. The universities sometimes are very slow. Sometimes they are controlled by maybe some central body. They must remove these things and give autonomy to all these educational institutions. The Colombo University, 150 years old, don't you think that they would be one of the best universities? But maybe if they are going to be controlled by another place, which also controls maybe very small institutions, I don't think that is the correct thing to do. So we need change in this country. If we are to go forward, we need to have change for the betterment of the society. Because one of the things that the CMA has done is talking of the societal costs, all inefficiencies, all wastages, all corruption are today met by the society. So we have to work towards ridding this in order that the society will benefit. Today this new syllabus we are introducing especially to benefit the society, to benefit the youth of this country. So I am sure that what we are doing, people must look at what we are doing. As I told you, I was reading what late Professor Vishwa Avarnapala said in 2009, but I don't think the universities would like to take a look at it. But we from the professional side, the OPA, need to take the importance of the professionals, how their products will be able to meet the job market, meet the needs of the employers. So I think, I'm sure that this new syllabus that we are launching today, the 2023-2027 syllabus will certainly be a new direction, but it is not that we are not going to do any revisions in between. If there are any sort of changes that are necessary, we will also do that. But it's a very tedious, lengthy process. Do not think that it's something that you can just do overnight, but needs a lot of hard work and dedication, and of course the intellectual capacity. And I'm very happy that our consultants who have done this are people of eminence, and they have been able to put a very good thing. So let me once again thank all of you. As I told you, today's situation was not very good, but from I can see here that you all have really withered the storms and come here, and I'm sure this is a grand success for us, and this launch of new syllabus will also be a grand success. And let me thank everyone who contributed and all those who are present here, and that what we are launching will be something that will change the systems in this country. Thank you.
So words of wisdom there, experience counts, and the observations therefrom are useful. But we've been talking about the syllabus. There's a change there for sure. We had two banner words that were brought into focus. Future ready, job ready. Good. Let's find out the proof of that. We'd like very much to invite Dr. Nuwan Gunaratna now, who has been vitally involved in the preparation, in consultancy, with regard to this revision. So let's hear it from Dr. Nuwan Gunaratna, and he then will introduce Professor Dilipa Samudrage. But first, Dr. Nuwan.
Distinguished invitees, council members, and ladies and gentlemen. So as the team of consultants, it gives me great pleasure and honor to present the CMA Professional Syllabus 2023-2027. So that the team of consultants, myself, Professor Dilipa, and Mr. Ufekar, so we worked as a team with many other resource persons. I'm sure that Professor Dilipa in her speech will talk about the resource persons we had. So in my presentation, I'll take you through 3 points. Number one, the syllabus revision process, and then the professional program, the outcome of the revision process, and then the salient features of the syllabus and some of our insights. So moving on, the syllabus revision process. This was a lengthy process, as Professor Vatavala mentioned, and it's a well-structured process where we had 8 steps. Now, what we initially did was to peruse the literature, study the existing syllabus and the comparable syllabi, and also we had many stakeholder meetings to solicit views of different stakeholders, different parties, from employers to students to council members to the staff. And then we had a model which was approved by the council, which I would like to call as the skeleton we had. And then this skeleton was fleshed out by our team of resource persons, where we had 34 working with us, and a team of moderators and the syllabi developers. And finally, the syllabus was sent for different parties. The draft syllabus was sent for different parties, both locally and internationally, and their feedback has been incorporated into the new syllabus. So that's where we witness the launch today. So in fact, what we witness today is the hard work, the meticulous work that took more than a year for us. But this is not the end, because we have to deliver the pilot papers in the next month. And I'm sure in the next few months, CMA staff will work hard to get done the study packs. Right. So that when we had stakeholder meetings, we got a lot of insights. Now, one of the key guiding principles that defined the syllabus revision process was the nature of the management accountant, the nature of the future management accountant. So we had 2 points to deliberate: local accountant, local management accountant, or a global management accountant, or generic management accountant and generic management accountant, or a specialized management accountant. So what we did was to look at the stakeholder feedback, the market conditions, and many other factors, and finally we decided that the management accountant that the CMA would produce will be conversant with the local knowledge, local taxation system, the local reporting system, and the local culture, and at the same time he or she would be able to work in a global setting. So basically we are producing localized management accountants. The next, should we have a general management or generic management accountant or a specialized management accountant? So we had a lot of debates, a lot of deliberations, and finally we thought that we will produce a management accountant who will be capable to work as an accountant in any organization. So this is a view that is akin to a generic management accountant, because we have to consider the maturity of the local management accounting profession, the demands of the local industry, and that is where we settled on this particular position. So in the syllabus, you will see how these views are reflected, how these views have guided us in the syllabus revision process. Then our philosophy. In fact, we had a guiding vision to equip or to make the future ready accountants. So that our guiding philosophy is to have or to equip the future accountants. So how do you do this? How do you equip the future accountants? So that is through developing 3 attributes, which I call as DVS. So that the future management accountants should be digitally enabled, and they should be value driven, and they should be solution savvy. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me a few minutes to explain you this philosophy on which the entire syllabus is built on. Okay. So digitally enabled future management accountants. We all know that how technology is affecting our daily lives. It is an enabler and it's a driver. At the same time, it offers you a vista of opportunities, but if you don't manage well, then there are a lot of risk involved as well. So that the technology is redefining the finance professional's role, and it reshapes the future of finance function. Therefore, every future management accountant should be digitally enabled. So that's why we thought that we need to develop digitally enabled management accountants. Now for this purpose, to achieve this end, we have made many changes. I'm sure Professor Dileepa will speak on them. But broadly, we have made 3 changes. One is to develop the digital competence in almost every subject, not only in management accounting, but financial reporting and some other subjects as well. Then we have introduced a new course, digital business, and then there is the technology skill pillar that will provide the candidates on the hands-on experience to work in a digitalized environment. Then the next attribute, the value-driven future management accountants. We know that finance function is in rapid transformation. It's not a transition, but it's a transformation, because they need to create value not only for their enterprise, but for the society. So that the management accountants should be able to integrate the knowledge of different disciplines, and they must be able to collaborate with different parties, both internal stakeholders as well as external stakeholders across the value chain, to create and preserve value. Now that is where the future management accountant should be value driven. And to achieve this end, so we have attempted to create that value driven mindset across different subjects. And we have added new concepts such as corporate value, value creation, circular economy in the context of value creation. And also subject areas or the subject components of the new topics such as sustainability management accounting, integrated thinking, then reporting, corporate sustainability have been introduced within the context of governance and ethics. Also, the future management accountants should be solution savvy. We know that accountants' role is moving from a reporting role to developing and deploying solutions role. So that is where the management accountants or the CFOs should be able to work as co-pilot alongside the CEO of an organization. Now that is where the management accountants, the future management accountants, should be able to challenge the status quo, adapt to change, and make a difference with their technical competence and acumen. So that's why the future management accountants should be solution savvy. So that these 3 attributes guided us the syllabus revision process, and these 3 attributes are reflected in different facets in the syllabus, as you will note very soon. So ladies and gentlemen, now let me have the pleasure of introducing you the syllabus structure of the CMA curricula. Well, as you can see here, we have 4 levels. Now this is where you follow Anthony Robbins' hierarchy of organizational hierarchy. So this is a universal concept. So that the subjects are organized into 4 levels from certificate to strategic. And these subjects are again organized into 4 different streams: management accounting, financial accounting and finance, then business management and supportive stream. So that we have attempted to maintain 4x4 metrics, which was desired, which was expected by many of our stakeholders. So in the first stage, we have cost and management accounting fundamentals with higher emphasis on costing, as Professor Wadavala mentioned, and then financial accounting, business fundamentals dealing with economics and management, then quantitative methods for business. In the second stage, there is cost and management accounting, then advanced financial accounting and finance, then managing business operations, kind of a catch-all basket to provide them the insights on different aspects such as human resource, marketing, operations management, together with audit and control. And then there is taxation and commercial law. Then in the third level, the managerial level, there is advanced management accounting, then corporate reporting and assurance, digital business, the new subject component, project management, and advanced taxation and corporate law. And finally, in the strategic level, there is sustainability and strategic management accounting. Even the name itself reflects the focus on higher emphasis and the focus on sustainability, and financial strategy and valuation, business strategy and risk management, and corporate governance, governance and ethics. And finally, the integrative case study represents the culmination of the knowledge they have obtained through different courses. But as you know, the role of a management accountant is incomplete without the skill set. Now that is where we have introduced many skill subjects organized into communication and technology skills. So in the communication skill front, there is business English, then professional communication, then advanced professional communication, where students will be given hands-on experience on business communication. Then in the technology front, there is IT applications, data analytics, then digital tools for accountants, as well as advanced data analytics, where the candidates, the CMA candidates or the CMA accountants will be able to work in a digitalized environment. Well, in all these stages, there's an exit route. So they will be awarded a separate certificate once they complete every stage. So that the accountants, the CMA candidates, they can obtain the practical experience, which we call as PER, practical experience requirement, while they are studying and while they complete their program. So that with the practical experience, they can move towards the membership, and that will be their CMA professional, the completion of the CMA professional program. So with that, let me now invite my colleague, Professor Dileepa, to present you some of the insights and the salient features of the new syllabus. Over to you, Professor Dileepa. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nuwan. So next, we would like to highlight some of the salient features of new syllabus. First, the composition of the team members who are contributed in developing the new syllabi. So as you see, most of them are academics from different universities who have specialized in different fields. Also, we obtained the expert knowledge from the industry, where we developed some important courses like IT-related courses and taxation. So I hope most of them are here with us today. So it's a strength for us. So then the compliance with international education standards of IFAC. So as a full member of IFAC, CMA Sri Lanka strives to comply with the international education standards. So when you look at the CMA professional program, so it complies with all of the 8 standards published by IFAC. Then when we developed the syllabi, so we followed the Bloom's taxonomy. Also, we proposed a better assessment strategy to evaluate the students' performance. Then when we look at the core subjects of the new syllabi, so as Professor mentioned, we have emphasized more on costing aspects. When we look at the current condition in the country and the escalating prices in a lot of commodities like electricity, so there is a higher emphasis on costing and cost-based pricing. So we have placed higher prominence to costing, cost records, cost bookkeeping, and cost audits in the new syllabi. Then the next point is about the sustainability. So as you know, Sri Lanka is a climate vulnerable country. Also, world is talking about sustainable development goals, so that we have to prepare accountants for the future by preparing them with sustainable knowledge, sustainability knowledge, not only in management accounting, but also in financial accounting and business strategy. So further in this syllabi, we discuss new topics like circular economy, planetary boundaries, and sustainability assurance, etc. And the next important point is value creation. So improve the emphasis on corporate value and value creation. So everyone talks about value creation, but when we look at the other syllabuses, so you don't find what exactly means value creation or what constitutes value creation. So in this new syllabi, we address those points, and especially we explain how we can do the value creation through 6 capitals. Then the other important point is ethics. We must create value ethically. So in the new syllabi, we have incorporated ethics in management accounting, ethics in financial accounting, ethics in taxation, because you know there is a huge discussion, debate on the tax compliances in Sri Lanka. Then we talk about contemporary issues, developments in the reporting sphere. So there are a lot of developments taking place in the reporting sphere, especially IFRS Foundation plans to introduce globally accepted single set of sustainability reporting standard. So in this syllabi, we added this latest developments in financial reporting sphere. And the next point is high emphasis on stewardship function. So we have increased the emphasis on internal control, internal audit, external audit, and assurance aspects. So in the new syllabi, we have 2 subjects in operational level and managerial level. And also we introduce digital business as a new course. In that we emphasize the digital business environment, digital business strategy, and digital marketing, those aspects. And also we improve the focus on digitalization when we talk, where we talk about the digital costing and pricing, big data, AI, and digital controls. And also we streamlined the financial stream, and also we improved the emphasis on 2 skill pillars, that is communication and IT. So when it comes to communication pillar, we have paid higher attention to presentation skills of students as well as report writing. Then finally, in the IT pillar, we introduce new courses like data analytics, as Dr. Nuwan mentioned, advanced data analytics, where we use Power BI software. So those are the salient features of the new syllabi. So as consultants, we would like to thank everyone who supported us in the syllabi development process. We achieved this task because we worked as a team. So therefore, I would like to thank especially the council, including the president, Professor Vatavela, and the vice president, then the staff of the CMA, especially the director examination, Ms. Madhumi, then the syllabus setters and developers, academic advisory council, syllabus reviewers, stakeholders, the designer, and proofreaders. Thank you very much. Have a pleasant evening.
Thank you too, Professor Dilipa Samudrage, and certainly Dr. Nuwan previous to that. Okay, so all of that hard work, but now it is the time for the launch. In keeping with modern trends, this is going to be a digital launch. So therefore, we would like to invite our chief guest and keynote speaker, Professor Ho, in the company of Professor Vatavela, on stage. And that which you see in the center is supposed to be where your fingerprint must rest. We hope that your fingers are sufficiently large to cover that space. There we are. We shall like to invite the finger pressers now back to their seats. Back to your places. That's the way it goes. If you feel like applauding a little more, it's okay. Once in 5 years. Fine. Now, the actual presentation. We would like to invite on stage Vice President Mr. H.M. Nayaka Bandara, Mr. Kosala Disanayaka, the acting CEO, and Director Examinations, Ms. Madhumi Pereira, on stage. Yes, thank you. And Professor Vatavala and Ho too. Now, we'd like to invite Dr. Nuan as well as Professor Dilipa with Mr. Upeka Atupola to ceremonially hand over the volumes. There we are. We have the volume set and ready, and maybe invite the three of you to please come and hand over to the persons on stage. Now, those that are in the audience, you will not necessarily be able to have a printed copy handed to you, but you will have a card that will be delivered to your places. The card has the now ubiquitous QR code. You can use your mobile device. I remember I told you to have your mobile phones on. Well, this is the time you use them. You scan the QR code, and hey presto, you have a copy of this same volume at hand. And for those who are not that deft with the QR code, no worry. If you have a mobile device, you will have an SMS delivered to your phone. And that, when you press that message, that in itself will lead you to the same conclusion, namely a copy of the volume that has just been released. So the cards, such as I am showing you, will be your key to reaching the volume. But of course, that's what the physical published copy also will look like, and you have them on stage as being held by those who have received them. Okay. So we trust that you will enjoy this new, somewhat exciting process of accessing the copies. And now that the pictures have been taken, we'll invite the recipients to continue in their places in the audience. And again, thank you very much to Dr. Nuwan Gunaratne, Professor Dilipa Samudrage, and Mr. Upeka Atupola for working so hard, as we have heard they did, in preparing this exciting new stage, the professional program for 2023 to 2027. The CMA Sri Lanka new syllabus, equipping future accountants, as we have been able to appreciate. Okay, so that's what we have right now. So if you have used your key, then that's the kind of thing you would see. 180 pages. We're not going to spend all of that time now, 180 pages. No, this is just a sampling, just to let you know that which you should have, can access at some other time, perhaps not necessarily now. So the keys here, QR code or SMS, might by now have come to your machine, and you can download, access, and so on and so forth. While you're playing around with that, we have a little play on stage, and they are poised and ready to deliver the voluptuous sounds of the drums of Sri Lanka. Yes, so there we were treated to something a little unusual. Thank you very much, we say, to the Chalani and Niranjan Dance Academy, who provided us with what might veritably be referred to as an Afro-Asian eclipse. We had the Asian drums, and the Lankan drums in particular, the yak bera, the gata bera, and then the hevisi or the herald drums, the tammatama. Then we had the African djembe from West Africa, and also Asian, but not necessarily Lankan, the dhol, which comes from India and Bengal. And when you add the violin, then it becomes an Afro-Eurasian eclipse, because the violin comes from Italy, doesn't it? So, a jolly sound. But now, back to other matters of concern and interest with the profession. Our chief guest and keynote speaker has already, in a manner, been introduced by Professor Wattawala as one who not only is serving a community in his own country, in Singapore, but also has been engaged with CMA Sri Lanka. And as was mentioned, certainly no stranger 5 years ago, for the same reason as we celebrate today, he was here then too. And as was mentioned, he's a professor of accounting and associate provost for skills, future and staff development at the Singapore Institute of Technology. And well, amongst many other things, he's been traveling, and we're very happy to have him here and speak to us. So our keynote now is to be sounded, Equipping Future Accountants. Professor Ho Yu Ki.
Good evening, Professor Wattawala, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for inviting me to share as a keynote speaker. It has been one of life's interesting journey to be associated with CMA, and especially the delightful people of Sri Lanka. I think I can never express in words how much you have added joy, meaning, and purpose to my life as an academic, as a professional. In fact, I can never dream that I could have such an opportunity to impact or to share the things I've learned as an accountant, as an academic, in such a wide audience. I'm always grateful for this privilege. Monday, I was in Melbourne for the CPA Australia board meeting. So I sit on the CPA Australia board, and I was sharing with them how much I appreciated the fact that a young student that went to Australia to study back in the 80s will one day return to serve on the CPA board as a member of the directors. In fact, it was in that association that it has given me accounting as a training. And thereafter, I became an accountant. I have served about 34 years as a CPA Australia member. Tonight, I'd like to speak to you from a perspective as an educator, as a parent, and concerning some of the thoughts I have for the accounting profession. In fact, never in the history of accounting, we are going to sit at a juncture in which the accounting profession will change dramatically. I have been move on to Singapore Institute of Technology to help a startup sit on the accounting body in Singapore and in Australia. And I look at the development of accountants. I must say that I'm very concerned because the world has changed significantly. So let me give you a context, and then I'll carry on to the next presentation. When I was a student of accounting back in the 80s, there were only 11 accounting standards, 250 pages all in. And as a bright young man then, we can remember all the 250 pages. I can tell you exactly what the accounting standard number is, what is the title, what are the provisions, what are the disclosure requirements. We fast forward that 30 years. In 2023, I just counted the IFRS. There are 41 accounting standards. And if you count the number of pages, it's probably about 1,500 pages followed by another 1,500 pages of interpretation. 3,000 pages. Interestingly, the accounting training program at the university level is still 3 years. Right. And the volume just in financial accounting standards alone has quadrupled over this period of time. We're only talking about the financial standards. We're not talking even about audit, taxation, companies law, and the various disciplines that's bundled into accounting as it is. So the critical question that we need to ask is this: have the individuals become quadruple intelligence, or are we at a certain point in time putting a lot of things into the accountant? And so this is where I come in as an educator and as a practitioner, because I need to be able to understand and ask the question, at what time are we going to hit a saturation point? Will the young people today be willing to enter into a profession which continuously increase, in which there seems to be no boundaries? And more important, from the accounting profession and practitioner, what are the key things that we need to have? What are the key things that we need to acquire in this dynamically changing world? So this is the topic that I want to deal with tonight concerning equipping future accountants. I'll skip these slides. I'll provide you basically with the whole deck of slides that tells you, that include these, concerning the background I'm coming from. I'm sharing with you more from an educator perspective, as a practitioner perspective, and more important, I'd like to say, I'm sharing it, this session as a parent. Looking at the young people today, how much can we load them? How much can we compress them? And how much can we prepare them for a career in which it will be meaningful and purposeful for them? So for tonight's agenda, I'm going to give you a bit background concerning the new syllabus, the revision process, as mentioned. I'm also going to look at, importantly, the challenges facing the accounting profession. As a director of CPA Australia, that is what we discuss extensively. CPA Australia has 170,000 members. We are the fourth largest accounting bodies in the world, behind American Institute of CPAs, ACCA, ICAEW, and then followed by CPA Australia. And our constant thought pattern is this: will the accounting professional bodies continue as it is? What are the changing dynamics that we must incorporate into the accounting profession to continuously make us relevant in this world, to serve the industry, such that the people are willing to engage the services of accountants? And finally, I would like to answer the question concerning CMA Sri Lanka new syllabus, the professional program for 2023 to 27. What's new and why, as we dovetail into how that new program can meet the challenges in the accounting professional body. We always say that we stand on the shoulders of giants, right, to develop a program. We have the Academic Advisory Board, in which I'm always grateful for, right? Professionals who will allow their time, and it spans actually different countries. I think I must congratulate CMA, President and Vice President, and the Council for assembling actually a very credible and dynamic academic advisory board. We were very privileged and fortunate to engage a team of very good consultants as we revise this program. All right. I think I can never say enough. Thank you, Dr. Nguyen, all right, and your team, Professor. And we really appreciate the hard work that you have put into turning every stone to allow us to do this exercise properly once every 5 years. The background is that we have the handbook of 2018 to 2022. You see, this is the traditional understanding of universities, in which we look at the syllabus once every 5 years. But as an educator, we suddenly realize maybe that is not enough, because the world is changing so fast. So back in 2021, we did an interim update, and the interim update tempered a bit with the data sciences to introduce digitalization into the entire program, but that is not enough, all right? So in 2021, the process began for us to prepare the review, and the hard work starts in 2022. It took us about a year or so to look at the landscape, to put together the pieces, the things that we need to do in order to bring us to where we are today. When we were doing the process of review, these are some of the critical questions that we need to ask. We need to look at the changing accounting profession. What are the pieces, right, that currently that we really need to give to our young people so that they have a future, so that the accounting profession can be something that's exciting, that's fit for purpose. We access the knowledge, the skills, the competencies needed for future accountants. We look at the technical reports. We look at the survey. We look at particularly the World Economic Forum. What are the forecasts into the future, 2025, 2030? The key relevant skills that our young people need or the accountants need in order to be thriving in the future. The team did a significant gap analysis of the current syllabus, right? You see, we always have this thought pattern. If you do not know where you are, it is very hard for you to chart a course to bring you to where you want to go, all right? You need to know where you are as a base. What are the gaps? What are the things that you need to do to bring us to where we want to go? And we gather the inputs from global perspectives and thought leaders. I always remember the Zoom sessions, the panel of advisors or the panel of reviewers. We discuss, listening to the perspective from America, from the Australians, from the Canadians, from the Singaporeans, the Sri Lankans. We discuss about what are the trends, what are the pieces that each of us are doing, all right? What are the things that we bring to the table to allow us to create a robust syllabus that deals with the thought pieces that will allow us to go into the future. The consulting team did an extensive engagement of stakeholders to find out exactly what are some of their thoughts and what are the things that we need to deal with. I'm pleased to say the objective of the CMA professional program, which is very different or significantly different from the objective in the 2018 to 2022 program, because we actually revised the entire objectives to ensure that we are equipping professional accountants for the future. All right? That means we stare down the corridor of time and ask, what are the possibilities? What are the things that we need to do to bring our young people or the accountants of today into tomorrow? And with this, we recognize the need to enable them digitally, to develop their technical competence, and to proceed them for driving sustainable value creation. Later on, I'll show you, right, how all this fits into the working blocks that we have for this syllabus. So lo and behold, this is what we have. And we have chosen the theme, equipping future accountants. The thought was future-ready accountants, with a similar thought pattern, right, that we today must prepare for tomorrow, right? If we do not work today with the view of tomorrow, the danger is that we will be going down a road blindly, for that matter, right? So this is where we are in terms of the introduction. So let's look at what are the challenges facing the accounting professions. So as a professor, every year the university has an open house, and every year I will stand before parents and students, and they will constantly ask me this question. The World Economic Forum labeled accounting as the third most at-risk job. Accountants will be replaced by artificial intelligence, right? And constantly the parents will ask, why should my son and daughter study accounting? Is there a future for accountants as it is, right? So this is the record, or in terms of the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs Survey 2020, where on the one side, it tells us what are the jobs that are increasing demand. And on the other side are jobs that are of decreasing demand. And you'll realize I highlighted for you the accounting, bookkeeping, and payroll clerks. They will be of the future, or they'll be of the past as it is, all right? Accountants and auditors too. Is this the reality? Is this what the future looks like? So let me give you an example. As a company, right, I engage internal auditors to help us look at processes, help us to look at the compliance in terms of our internal controls. In the good old days, the internal auditors will select 20 invoices or 50 invoices, and they'll do a sampling check. And after looking at 50 invoices, they'll say, all right, your system is not robust because we found that there are 5 invoices that are not following the processes that you have laid out in terms of your internal controls. 50 invoices, the team of internal auditors examined, and they found 5 mistakes as it is. Recently, I was looking at the internal audit report produced by my internal auditors, and they examined 4,732 transactions or invoices. How were they able to do that? They were able to run all those invoices through the analytics and pick up from us what are the possible non-compliance. Right? So this is where technology entered the world, in which some of the traditional work that's done by accountants will become obsolete as it is, right? So this is where the accounting world is changing significantly. In 2015, the World Economic Forum created and published this paper called The New Vision for Education, Unlocking the Potential of Technology. That was about 7 or 8 years ago. And I would suggest that this paper is actually foretelling the future, back 8 years ago. And these are the 2 major statements that they make. To thrive in today's innovation-driven economy, workers need a different mix of skills than in the past. In addition to foundational skills like literacy and numeracy, they need competencies like collaboration, creativity, problem solving, and character qualities like persistence, curiosity, and initiative. I am reasonably certain that all of you, if not many of you who will sit here tonight, have a distinguished career. But when you look at how you arrive at this point in your life, you realize that these attributes actually summarize who you are. That means many of you are creative. Many of you are collaborative. Many of you are here as senior business leaders because of your capabilities in terms of problem solving, all right? And you have those tenacious character qualities like persistence, curiosity, and initiative. See? So the World Economic Forum actually distilled for us what are some of the success factors in which the young people of tomorrow will need to have in order for them to be successful. And this is what we need to do, to put that into the accountants, because we know that if we don't put that into the accountants will become obsolete because they'll become nothing more than just bookkeepers. They're nothing more than just machines, which will be replaced for that matter. So the discussion continued to look at what are the skills, the 16 skills that the student require for the 21st century. And we partition them along the foundational literacies, the competencies, and the character qualities. That was done in 2015. We fast forward that to 2021, 2022, 2023. We continuously engage the employers and ask them, what are the key skills that will enable the young people to succeed? And we break them up into the soft skills and the hard skills, right? And what are the soft skills? What are the hard skills? The hard skills are the technical skills, the numeracy skills, the financial literacy skills, the understanding of technical accounting standards, management accounting, law, and so on and so forth. But there's the other group, which is we call these soft skills. The persuasions, the negotiations, the problem solving, the teamwork, the communication, the time management, right? So these are the skills, the soft skills that are deemed to be essential for individuals to thrive in this world. I have 2 boys. My 2 boys are 28 years old and 25 years old. Both of them are working right now. So when they were growing up, I was very conscious of the fact that as a father, these are the skills that I need to incorporate into their lives, because I know that these are the skills that will determine very much their future and their career in years to come. So that is the reason why I'm an educator. I treat every kid in my classroom at the university just like my children, because I want the very best for them. I want to be able to train them with both the hard skills and the soft skills so that they're able to thrive in this very dynamic world that's changing. This is a study that was done very recently by the World Economic Forum on the Executive Opinion Survey. What did they survey the executive about? They surveyed the executive on their opinions concerning the skill dimension which our education system, the education 4.0 framework that needs to have in order for the people to thrive. Or in other words, as employer, what are you looking for? 4 things that came out. Number 1, that they want to see the people, the employees, to be global citizenship and having a civic responsibility skills. That means to be ethical. Right? It means to have the global citizenship, to understand community as it is, that they are not an island by themselves. The second thing they were looking for is innovation and creativity. That means they can stand on their own 2 feet. They're able to take initiative. They're able not just to adopt solution, but they must have the ability to create solution. Third thing, they must have the ability to do collaboration and self-management skills. That means the understanding of who they are, the self-awareness, becomes another dimension in which they unlock their potential. And finally, the digital and technology skills is something that you cannot run away. So what they have done is that they have looked at which are the regions. I've highlighted specifically the blue line, which is the world sitting somewhere around 3 to 4, hover around 4, right? Where 7 is the best, where 1 is the worst as it is, right? And cutting across all those 4 dimensions, this is where the world on average stands. One of the interesting things you'll see, South Asia, which includes India, Sri Lanka, basically sits somewhere a bit lower than the rest of the world. On the other 2 extremes, on the extreme right, you have is the Americans, the North Americans, and then the brown colored dots are basically the East Asia and Pacific. That includes Korea, Japan, China, Singapore, and the rest of those countries. So the reason why I bring this out is to allow us to understand, all right, that this is where, as a country, Sri Lanka, that we can use some of these compass points to help us move our boundary of education, the training of accountants. What do we need to do? We need to instill the global citizenship. We need to instill in them the civic-mindedness, the innovations and the creativity, the collaboration, the self-management, the self-awareness, ensuring that the people are confident in who they are. And finally, we need to give them high dosage of digital and technology skills. In the accounting world, this is the diagram and the statistics coming from America. There is fewer people are taking the CPA exam. Fewer graduates are also taking the accounting courses. And this seems to be like a global phenomenon. In fact, in Singapore, this issue was so serious that the government set up a task force to look into why are the young people not entering the accountancy schools, or why are the young people not becoming accountants. In Australia, we face exactly the same problem. And one of the possibilities that we're working on as a hypothesis is that accounting is too boring. We need to bring the fun part. We need to bring the contributions, the importance of accounting job back to the young people. That it is not just the IT that is sexy, all right? But accountants actually to a certain extent determine the world, because the world of business is always measured in numbers produced by the accountants. See, we need to bring the halo effect back to the accounting world. So this is where, as an educator, we are working on over the years, looking at how we can change and incorporate the pieces that we need to bring the fun part, the contribution part, the relevant part to accounting education. You and I started the world in accounting training. I call this the pillar approach. We are technically steeped. We know our accounting standards. We know all the technical attributes of being an accountant. But along the way, we realized that in order to succeed, that is not sufficient. You need the soft skills. You need the ability to communicate. You need the ability to persuade. You need the ability to work as a team. And that is where we enter into the T-shaped approach. And then we also realize that in the T-shaped approach, as the world changes, it is not sufficient too, because the IT, the information technology and digital skills, in many ways underlie the things that accountants do. See, remember, when we were in the 80s, we were using VP Planner, Lotus 123, right? Those were the spreadsheets that allows us to have a cutting edge. Today, it's impossible to think about any young people who do not know how to use an Excel spreadsheet. The things that were of so-called cutting-edge technology today has become a necessity, has become a basic essential. So we are moving further to introduce Power BI, right? Quicksand. We're introducing data analytics. We're looking at dashboard. We're looking at data visualization to allow us to understand the data better. So the accounting education is never complete, where individuals just have the technical skills or even the soft skill. They have to embed that into the digital skills as it is. When we wrote this framework about 2-3 years ago, we thought we would stop there. But unfortunately, the world moves on further, right? In what way has the world moved on further? The world has moved on further with the introduction of ESG. ESG was introduced to the world probably about 2004 by one of the most important report written for the United Nations. And the report was, "Who Cares Wins?" And it was actually a technical report written by financial institutions that suggests that we need to incorporate the environment, the social, and the governance into good business in order to make money, in order to be sustainable for that matter. And lo and behold, in the last 20 years, it has mothered along, but we have come to a tipping point, particularly with the climate change that we are facing, and the running out of certain resources as it is, that if we do not treat ESG seriously, there may not be a world left for us, right? So the IFAC, in its wisdom, that we have created financial accounting standards to regulate the way companies disclose the financial performance and numbers, and to create the audit process to lock down the integrity of these numbers. They are going to create a parallel standards that will deal with the sustainability issue, the International Sustainability Standard Board, ISSB. And the writings are on the wall in the sense that ISSB is going to promulgate sustainability standards that is actually parallel or in companion with the financial reporting standards, right? Because if we don't do this, the argument we have is that there will not be a world for our grandchildren or our great-grandchildren to live in, because the world, the way we are living it, is not sustainable, right? So if that is the case, we have taken us about 40, 50 years to develop the accounting standards. We are not going to have 40 to 50 years to develop the sustainability standards. It's going to be going on a fast-track basis. And who are the best people to do sustainability standards? It must be the accountants, because we are the king of numbers. We are the prince of numbers as it is, right? And at the end of the day, the argument will always be whatever that's not measured will not get done. Your sustainability standards will at the end of the day have to come down to measurement. And we are going to create the accountants who will be able to measure all these indicators, and we are going to create a parallel industry that will allow us to audit or provide assurance to all those numbers. As far as I'm concerned, these are the writings on the wall, right? So these are the developments that have taken place in the last 2 to 3 years. Old dogs learning new tricks. I have taken on a new challenge. I'm going to go on to teach carbon accounting sometime this year, right? I'm going to learn how to actually look at, as an accountant, to account for carbon emission, right? Scope 1, Scope 2, Scope 3. How are we going to measure them? How are we going to control them? And how are we going to build models, especially with the introduction of carbon taxes, to integrate basically pollution or carbon emission into our profit maximization and being able to be compliant in our ESG front. Therefore, as an accountant, you open up a brand new playing field for us as it is. And the accountants has to decide, is this a space that you want to enter into? Is this a space where we can excite our young people? So this is how we break up this reinforced pillar approach into the 4 zones: the accounting business knowledge, the soft skills, the ESG knowledge, and the information technology and digital skills. And it is extremely relevant because this sets for us actually the framework and the patterns in which the CMA program hugs around. If you look carefully at the structure, you realize the accounting business knowledge are actually taken care of our 4 core streams. The 4 core streams that cover management accounting, financial accounting, business management, and supportive stream, which is additional business that deals with law and taxes. On the soft skill side, we are entering into business English, professional communication, advanced professional communication, human resource, the soft skills that allows our candidates or future accountants to thrive. Then we also introduce the ESG knowledge, things that concerns corporate governance, corporate sustainability accounting, the EM, environmental management accounting, the physical and monetary EMA system, the EMA scope and dimension. And finally, we introduce significantly the IT, the digital skills. And this is how I do a comparison between the past and what we have in the revised syllabus. Communications will move from English 1, English 2, professional communication, and we're going to intensify that with the same number of hours of 270, but we're going to compress that only with 1 English, but the rest of them become professional communication and advanced professional communication. Right. So we are basically changing the landscape. What used to be important is still important, but in a much compressed form, and we push the people to move further down the stream as it is. In terms of IT skills, we have the IT application, the computer-based accounting. That is not sufficient moving forward. We specifically identify the need for IT applications, data analytics, the tools for the accountants, and advanced data analytics. So this is how we rejigger the piece. But as an educator, our constant concern is this: are we packing too much things basically into our curriculum? What do we need to take out in order to put in new things inside? And so this is something that we are constantly working on. The good news is this: the human spirit and the human being, we are very versatile, right? Our plasticity of our mind actually is quite great, in the sense that we have the capability, all right, to basically absorb more information and more skill set. And one of the things that we are very encouraged by is that our children or the young people today are the digital natives. You don't have to teach them how to use a Microsoft Word and Excel. They will learn how to do it. You don't have to teach them how to search the internet for information. They will know how to do it as it is, right? So we must totally change the way we make assumptions about young people and about learning. That means, what do we want to do? Ultimately, what we want to do is to create in them the ability to search for new knowledge and to search for new solution and to be creative and innovation in creating solutions that will be able to solve the real world problem. That's what we need to do. And in Singapore, we use that phrase called lifelong learning. That means the university has come to a point where we have a tipping point. We can't put in too much more syllabus and content into our 3 or 4 years worth of education. But the best thing we can do for the young people is to create in them the ability to self-learn, life-learn. And then for the rest of their life, they will be significant assets to companies and to whichever employers that they will join. So let me wrap this session up with the last two slides. I call this a scaffolding approach in terms of our syllabus. The scaffolding approach in the sense that it covers for us the reinforced pillar approach. You see, in Singapore, we have been discussing extensively whether do we even need an accounting degree to be an accountant. All right? It surprised us. Do we really need an accounting degree to be an accountant? Or maybe we need to redefine an accounting degree by packages. That means we're looking at what we so-called the competency streams. So that means if we want to be an accountant, actually what we need to do is we need to define what are the core competencies accountant have, and then allows us to create an education system that lets them acquire those those so-called technical skills and competencies. And thereafter, when they example, they become a chartered accountant, they become a cost management accountant, and what have you for that matter. So if you look at the syllabus we have, it gives us that kind of flavor. It created the technical streams that is steeped. That you push the financial accounting, you push the management accounting, which are the core attributes of a management accountant. Then you have the skill set, the communication and the IT skills. But what you did also is that you create scaffolding, right? You create a continuous train. That is, they move from a certificate to a diploma, to an advanced diploma, to a strategic so-called knowledge and level. That means you create scaffolding to allow the people to continuously upgrade one level next. And the nice thing about this is that you're going to create an education system that will become lifelong. Because new things will come along that will pile on top, and the people will continue to progress upwards. You see. And that is one way we think that will uplift the nation, that will ensure that the young people will never lose their job because they are continuously reinventing themselves for the new economy. So allow me to summarize and conclude. In the World Economic Forum 2022, Catalyzing Education, this was a statement that's being made. Alignment will be critical around skills needed for the future of work, specific industries that will require additional talent, and the recognition of multiple and non-linear pathways from education to lifelong learning and productive employment. So the way I want to see the CMA professional program is the CMA professional program is not an end to itself. It is meant to be a program in which it is a significant pathway to equipping future accountants for the purpose of lifelong learning, for the purpose to ensure that they continuously to have productive employment. Right. So I would like to suggest that this program is as exciting, if not more exciting than a university education. Because as creator of this program, we create the DNA in the young people that they will continue to learn for the rest of their life. And this program, unlike the university program, will continuously morph and change and do interim updates. And every 5 years, we overhaul the whole system to allow us to ensure that our candidates and our students are constantly fit for purpose. So this is what we are trying to do. And I hope that it will be an exciting time 5 years from now where we move to the next upgrade, that we can look back and say that we did create a generation of accountants that are future ready and who will be great future accountants. So with this, thank you very much for listening to my sharing. Thank you.
And thank you too, Professor Ho, for the energy that you were able to put into sharing all of that which was shared in our keynote, and certainly covered a lot of ground to help us appreciate that there is so much data that is available is not guesswork, not feelings or traditions, but data that deals with the reality of today with regard to preparing for the future. So much work is necessary, and we are able to appreciate that. We'd like now to invite on stage to hand over some tokens of appreciation to those that deserve them. Professor Lakshman R. Vatavala will be accompanied by Mr. Hennayaka Bandara on stage. Thank you. So we have a token of appreciation to our chief guest and keynote speaker, Professor Ho. Thank you. Likewise, we call on stage Dr. Nuwan Gunaratna. Okay. We have the book, launched last year in October. That's it. Next, as we said, Dr. Nuwan Gunaratna. That's our token of appreciation. Professor Dilipa Samudrage, likewise. And then Mr. Upeka Atul Pola. While they are here, may I invite Professor Ho back here again, this time in a different role. We've already had it mentioned and heard it mentioned that this is a kind of a jubilee celebration of the service rendered the people and the nation of Sri Lanka by Professor Lakshman R. Vatavala. So the council members as well as the staff of CMA Sri Lanka would like very much to have our chief guest hand over to Professor Vatavala a token of appreciation which can adorn his home. 50 blossoms for 50 years. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Professor Ho. And it belongs to, after the photographs, of course, it will belong to Mr. H.M. Hennayaka Bandara, Vice President of CMA Sri Lanka, to come over to this lectern. We have some concluding remarks from him, and as it says, a vote of thanks.
Good evening to all of you. Our chief guest and keynote speaker, Founder President, members of the Council, consultants, distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen. As you already heard, one of the prime responsibilities of an accountancy organization is to revisit their professional program regularly, or at least once in 5 years, to comply with international accounting standards and to make prospective members, teaching institutes, academics aware of the new development to enable them to meet the expectation of their employees, clients, multiple stakeholders, and society at large. Accordingly, the CMA program has been designed to meet the evolving needs of business today as well as tomorrow. At the same time, we look forward to helping students to achieve excellence as professionals. With that note, let me take a few minutes to appreciate and recognize the valuable contribution made by eminent professionals, academics, and others towards the success of today's event. At the outset, we deeply appreciate the valuable contribution made by our consultants, Professor Dilepa, Mr. Upeka, headed by Dr. Nuwan Guwanratne, for obtaining the services of experts on subject matters, conducting interviews, discussions with the Academic Advisory Board, President and the Council, committees and other stakeholders, including students, and proposing a most appropriate structure for future accountants. As the chairman of the academic board of CMA, Professor Ho worked very closely with the consultants to improve the structure and the content of the new syllabus. Thank you, Professor, for your valuable time and the guidance provided. At the same time, I would like to thank Professor Ho for accepting our invitation to be the chief guest and keynote speaker and joining with us this evening to grace this occasion. Your participation is a source of encouragement to all of us. It is pertinent to mention that Professor Ho has contributed immensely for the improvements of the knowledge and skills of our members and served as the chairman of the panel of judges of the Integrated Reporting Awards organized by CMA. I would also like to appreciate the valuable inputs provided by our founder president, Professor Lakshmanar Vatavala, a national-minded strategist, and the guidance and leadership given to the entire team of CMA. Let me also thank the members of the council for bringing their vast experience and expertise in teaching and industry into the fruitful and meaningful discussions in developing the syllabus content. Let me also thank members of the Education Committee, examiners, and industry experts for their inputs. Finally, I would like to recognize and thank the dedicated team of CMA, Ms. Madhumi Perra, Ms. Kanchana Gunasekara, Ms. Shanti Maheshwaran, and all other staff members for discharging their responsibilities as expected and meeting all deadlines in undertaking various activities entrusted to them, and all others who have extended their support in numerous ways to make today's event a reality. More importantly, I would like to thank all our distinguished invitees for honoring our invitation and your participation in this very important event. Thank you very much once again.
And those spoken words conclude the formality of our launch event for today, for this evening. But now it's time for a convivial evening. Refreshments are served and ready for partaking, and we invite everyone to enjoy the remainder of the evening as you see fit. Thank you.